Well, last week's Monday Night Raw saw Sami Zayn become the new United States champion, beating Chris Jericho, and then proceed to get this snot beaten out of him by Rusev and a debuting Samoa Joe, with Finn Balor coming in for the save. And then we had Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins in a match to decide the number one contender for Kevin Owens' Universal title. But that was interrupted when the aforementioned Owens and Jericho stormed the ring and left both men prone on the floor. So lots of stuff to pick up with this week. We're back again with another Monday Night Raw. Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Road to WrestleMania. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have week 2 in our new world that, remember, it started straight after the real life Raw Rumble. So we've had one Raw, one SmackDown. We're back with Raw this week, and the whole show kicks off with a video hyping the rematch of Chris Jericho against Sami Zayn from last week. Remember, Zayn defeated Jericho for the United States title, and then it all kicked off from there. The fans seem rather into this. It's getting us a B-. That'll do for now. There's no mention of our new look commentary team yet. Let's see if they get mentioned later on in the show. Full disclosure, we tried 3 times over the course of last week to sign good old JR. He is not having any of it. The man wants to stay retired. But we have made a commentary signing and massively shuffled the announce table around a little bit. So let's see if we can spot the names as they appear throughout the show. So that match comes up later on. Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn again for the United States title. And now Triple H has marched himself out to the ring and dragged all the rascals from last week with him. So we've got Rusev and Samoa Joe, who decided to get involved directly in straight after the match, attacking Zayn, beating him up. Oh, it was messy. They're banned from ringside for the match later on. Finn Balor, who came in to make the save, banned from ringside later on. Kevin Owens, who teamed up with Chris Jericho to go and beat up Reigns and Rollins, banned from ringside later on. They're all banned from ringside. The crowd are super excited because it means we get a proper match between Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. I mean, we got a proper match last week, but we're having a proper replay. No chance of rascals getting involved and ruining it for everybody else. Kevin Owens comes out of that segment looking good. The crowd are hot, and the US title storyline has advanced and gained heat. We've got a B-. Everyone's happy. What a start to Monday Night Raw this week. And then we move straight into a match booked by me/Triple H. We're having Finn Balor against Samoa Joe. Joe wants his revenge for being beaten twice by... Now, see, I keep saying Balor. People are saying it's Balor. Let me know in the comments. Balor, Balor, I don't know. Anyway, Finn is up against Samoa Joe, who wants... I mean, he was beaten up by Finn last week and then pinned by him towards the end of the show. So Joe wants his revenge. Rusev comes out and decides to stick his oar into all the nonsense as well. Tries to distract Balor, but it all amounts to nothing. Finn Balor defeats Samoa Joe by submission, even after interference from Rusev. I don't know how he was blatantly cheating. I guess cheating because Rusev got... I don't understand. Anyway, both wrestlers come out of it looking good. Although Joe's off his game but ended up with a C+. A C+ is all right for mid-card. I don't know. Perhaps he's capable of much better. The US title storyline advances a little bit more because they're both involved in that storyline, and Joe is improving with his performance skills as well. We get a C+. It's not a disaster. We've got cruiserweights and women to come. There's going to be worse ratings than a C+ today. Now we have the other big storyline from last week was Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. A, they're not happy because they got beaten up by Owens and Jericho. B, they're not happy because they both still want that title shot. They were in a number one contenders match last week. They want to take on... But they both want to take on Kevin Owens. So they're asking if they can have the match again. Little bit of back and forth. Bit of an argument. In the end, Triple H rebooks the match. It's going to be on next week's Monday Night Raw. A number one contenders match for the Universal title. Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. And look, we get to have a little look at some of the new announce table. So we can see Renee Young is one of our commentators and was pretty weak. I mean, our announce table now for Raw is Michael Cole, Renee Young, and Paul Heyman. So I think that's a strong announce table. I certainly don't see the issue with having a lady on there, although she didn't do very well in that. But according to all the stats in game, she's the best female commentator slash colour commentator slash announcer, whatever it is that we've got. So get her in. Hopefully she'll get better with time. I think it's a decent announce team. We've got a whole new one for SmackDown in the next episode as well that we'll be able to have a look at. Roman Reigns did a masterful job of improvising interactions with the crowd. Goodness me. Who programs this? Oh, what's this at the bottom? Roman Reigns foreshadowed a heel turn during this segment. Couldn't see that one coming. We get a B+. Things are going to get messy in this feud that's simmering between Reigns and Rollins. Pre-booking, yeah, we do want to do a pre-booking. We're going to pre-book for next week's show. So let's pre-book for Raw next week. We're going to book a match. It's going to be... Oh, my microphone's in the way. It's going to be Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins in a number one contenders match. And we're going to finally find out who's going to go on to take on Kevin Owens at Fastlane. Because I tell you something... It sure as heck isn't going to be Goldberg around these parts. And there you go. We'll save that. That's booked in for next week's Raw. And we advance again to Seth Rollins being put straight into a match. Both of them, they've got their number one contenders match next week. Tonight, they're both facing matches against top opposition. So Rollins comes up against the Big Show. He defeats him with a pedigree, obviously. He was always going to win him. Big Show's off his game. He's on there getting a bit too old list. I don't know how much time we've got left with the Big Show. He's not ill. He's just getting old. He only got a C+, but Rollins saves the match with an A-grade performance. No improvements, but then Big Show was never going to improve. And Rollins apparently can't. So we come out of the segment with a solid B and move straight into an angle with Sami Zayn and Finn Balor again, because why am I booking him so much when I don't know how to say his name? Sami Zayn, Finn Balor talking backstage, and they've agreed that they're going to watch each other's back. There's a lot of big ugly brutes involved in this US title picture. Not many baby faces, so the ones that we have got need to stick together. They've decided they're going to stick together. Balor's getting better at his gimmick, and again the US title storyline has advanced and gained heat. We're building a lot into this United States title storyline, building up to a big match at Fastlane and then a bigger match at WrestleMania. We're just not going to share what they are yet. So those two now officially best buds. And then we drop below a C for the first time on the episode because it's the ladies. I really have got my work cut out trying to... I mean, Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax should be a good match. I've enjoyed watching their little mini program that they've had on TV recently. It's certainly not D+. There's much worse stuff that some of the men are doing, but for whatever reason... And a lot of you did explain the reason in the last video, so I kind of understand how it works and what I need to do to build them up. I basically need to get them involved in big matches, get them on pay-per-views, get them in angles, and just accept the fact their rating is going to be bad and just keep building them up. So that's what we're going to do. Sasha Banks picks up a win with a bank statement. She comes out of it with C-. Nia Jax, lots of improvement needed, only on an E, and... no improvements. So, there you go. The announcing quality and colour commentary gave the match a boost, lifted the match. So that's Michael Cole, Renee Young, and Paul Heyman all doing better than the wrestlers. What can you do? We have another angle. This time, Rich Swann. We overused him last week, and we're certainly going to overuse him again. He is on the next big things list that I was looking for in the background stuff that I'll have to show you at some point. We're only really looking at the TV shows at the moment. For those of you who've never played the game, we'll have a snoop around in the background at some point. But Rich Swann has been identified as a future star, so I am going to push him to the moon. So he's at the back having a chat with Triple H. He wants a one-on-one match against Neville right now. He doesn't want to wait for Fastlane. He doesn't want to wait. He won the number one contenders match last week. He wants a match right now. Triple H... we'll think about it. He's not going to give him that match right now. Fantastic performance from Triple H. And again, the commentary is good. Swann performing poorly. He needs to improve. A C rating for an angle that he's involved in has got to be good, though. So, Rich Swann might get his match at some point. Spoilers, he's not going one-on-one with Neville tonight. And then we have the weekly Braun Strowman squash match. This week, he's up against Goldust and defeats him with a standing triangle choke. They both perform pretty well. In fact, Goldust performed better than Strowman. The angle gets a C-. We just need to we need to get Strowman on a big, long winning run. I know they went through this process in real life, but for whatever reason, this database doesn't reflect that. So that's why I pulled him back down the card. Because he's putting in C- performances. We can't get him up there with Rollins and Reigns, who are putting in A's week in, week out. It just doesn't work. So we need to build Strowman back up again and go back through the process that he went through in real life, which we move a little bit closer to that today. He's not losing for a long, long time. Right, next segment, we have The Club versus Enzo and Cass. Now remember, last week, the New Day defeated Enzo and Cass and Sheamus and Cesaro to become number one contenders for the tag titles. That match is already scheduled in for Fastlane. So this is a non-title match. Enzo and Cass just basically trying to earn the opportunity to become part of that match, make it into a triple threat. If they beat the Club, they make it into the match. They didn't beat the Club. The Club defeated Carl Anderson, defeating Big Cass with a magic killer. Enzo Amore, I really like him in real life, but I guess if you look at those four wrestlers, if we actually look at them as wrestlers, he's obviously the weakest of all of them. Very strong on the microphone, but we need him to improve, and it's Gallows and Anderson who are improving in this match, and Amore kind of letting the team down a little bit. We've got solid C's, and then Enzo coming in with a D+. We're working on it. We'll fix him. We'll figure something out. What I don't want to have to do is have to break the two of them up because Cass is pushing on into the upper mid card and Enzo's holding him back, because that would be a disaster, because they're a great tag team. Right, next segment. We have the New Day wandering out. They're sort of hovering on the ramp. The Club have just won. They're celebrating, waving their titles around. Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods appear, and just remind them that things are not going to be that easy at Fastlane. These guys want their tag titles back, and they're certainly not going to give them the easy ride that they just got from Enzo and Big Cass. Everyone performing well. Every wrestler involved, every commentator. The tag titles storyline is advancing. That's all got to be good. B-. I can live with a B-. And then we have Roman Reigns in his big match. Which, how is this only a C+? The match had very little drama or flow to it, as nobody in the ring had the psychology to take control properly. So we've got two people here who need to be led through a match. Somehow, Sheamus got a B, Roman Reigns got a B+, but the segment itself only got a C+, and we've lost heat on our Universal title storyline by getting Sheamus involved in it. Reigns did win the match, beating Sheamus with a handful of tights, again indicating that there's a heel turn approaching sometime soon. In fact, we won't pull the trigger now. We're gonna wait. We're just gonna keep dropping little hints. It's coming, but we're just gonna keep dropping hints for now. I'm really disappointed in that match. I had visions of inserting Sheamus into this title picture, but I might have to have a little rethink. Perhaps we'll be reuniting Sheamus and Cesaro before too long. We haven't broken them up. They're still officially on the tag teams list, so something to ponder as we move into the Cruiserweights. And this is the match that Triple H has given Rich Swann tonight. He's going to let Rich Swann take on Neville, but only if it's a tag match against Neville and Brian Kendrick, and Rich Swann needed to find a tag team partner. Well, goodness me, who's this as a tag team partner? It's a debuting wrestler. Kenny Omega has made his debut on Monday Night Raw, tagging with Rich Swann. Somehow, all of that combined only gets us a D rating. Rich Swann and Kenny Omega do win the match, with Rich Swann getting the pin over Neville as well, which is very, very important. Neville was off his game, which is disappointing. Rich Swann was also off his game. Kenny Omega debuted his new Thrill Seeker gimmick, which had a great rating, but he also then seemed off his game. The announcers were good. The wrestlers were all rubbish. Right, let me know down in the comments, how do you book a Cruiserweight match? Because, that's not good. There you go, they get a D. At least we have a new guy. But you were crying out for him in the comments after the last Raw episode. Well, here you go. Kenny Omega's arrived. And now I need to figure out what to do with him, because I'm kind of a WWE man who doesn't really know anything about him other than his name and the fact he's been involved with the Bullet Club at various points, which I wonder if there's something we could do there. There's quite a few of them guys turning up in the WWE now. I wonder. Right, next segment. Oh, look, Brock Lesnar's here. I may have forgotten he exists last week, but he's still a little bit miffed with Goldberg after what happened at the Royal Rumble. So he marches out to the ring pretty much how he did in real life, challenging Goldberg. Goldberg's obviously not here because why would he be here? So he's put the challenge out, and we'll wait and see what Goldberg comes back with. It gets a B+. Lesnar, importantly, working on his own because Paul Heyman's doing colour commentary, which gave the segment a boost. So Lesnar's having to learn to talk to himself, talk for himself, which might be a problem, but because Lesnar turns up like twice a month, if that, I think it's more important to get Heyman on the show all week, every week, rather than just saving him to work with Lesnar, because Paul Heyman is the best talker in the WWE. Right, next match. This one is all about building up the women's roster, and I was thinking, right, how can I get one of our women's wrestlers involved in a segment with massive star to get some rub off of them? So I thought, you know what, Charlotte might just be arrogant enough to do this. So Brock Lesnar's walking back down the aisle, he hasn't suffered a defeat, but he's still sad. He's moaning about what happened at the Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair's getting ready to come out for her match. As they pass, Charlotte clearly taunts Lesnar about his loss, which he's not happy about, but he can't do anything about because she's a lady. So there you go. We've got a woman involved in a B+ B- rated segment. That can't be a bad thing. So Charlotte, we're trying to push her up to, we want her up there at main event level. We don't want the women to be off by themselves. Charlotte Flair should be a main eventer, and there you go. Let's get her mixed in with the main event as if that's what she's going to be. And then we have Charlotte versus Bayley. It's only a C-. Charlotte only giving us a C in the ring, but Bayley's getting better, which is always a good thing. Only coming in with a D though, which is a worry. But we are advancing the women's title storyline. That storyline is gaining heat as well. It's got a benefit from the involvement of Brock Lesnar in it as well. And Charlotte defeats Bayley with a figure 8 leg lock. So we've had both of the two ladies who are going to be in the women's title match at Fastlane. They've both wrestled against the other two good women's wrestlers on the Raw roster. They've beaten them both. They're both ready to go into Fastlane. It looks like it's going to be a fairly easy 3 or 4 weeks. I wonder if something might be happening with the Raw women next week. Perhaps some new faces. Who knows? Right, next segment we have Cesaro versus Rusev. This was very much a case of giving Cesaro something to do, and the more I think about this, the more I think perhaps we do reunite Cesaro and Sheamus, because Sheamus had a fairly poor match against Roman Reigns. Cesaro's had a good match. He's against Rusev. It picks up a B-. Rusev defeated him because Rusev had a bit of a rough week last week. We need to start building him back up again as this massive brute who just beats people up. I don't know if I want to insert Cesaro into this already quite crowded US title picture. There's not really any room for him in the main event either. Sheamus is in a similar position. I wonder why they made them a tag team in real life. How do we fit them into that though? There's too many babyface tag teams already. Do we turn them heel? Should we turn New Day heel? What to do with the Raw tag teams? But there you go. We've had quite a strong segment in a one-on-one match there. And then we have the big match. We have Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn for the United States title. Sami Zayn does win the match as the result of Jericho getting himself disqualified. He hit him with the list. So Sami Zayn makes defense number 1 of his US title. The match gets a B rate, and we get a B- for Jericho, a C+ for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn further establishes himself as a worthy US champion. He's beaten Chris Jericho 1-on-1 without interference 2 weeks in a row now. So we need to start building Jericho back up next week because he's supposed to be in the Universal title picture. I tell you what, this wrestling booking's harder than you think. That's it. That's the end of Raw for this week, though. And we've picked up another B, a B-. I can live with a B-. The general feeling is that we still don't have enough interesting storylines going on. Goodness me, am I trying? We have increased our popularity in 3 regions, but lost popularity in 18 regions. Far from ideal, but we are building towards something, and there are going to be some quite a number of new faces showing up, particularly on Raw over the next few weeks. So we should be able to mix some of these storylines up a little bit. If anyone knows how you take Raw down to 2 hours rather than 3 hours, I would very much like to know how to do that. Because trying to fill a 3-hour show for Monday Night Raw, goodness me, that's hard work. No wonder it has those dull patches in real life. But there you go, we're one step closer towards Fastlane for the Raw competitors. In our next video, we've got this week's SmackDown, and that's the go-home show before Elimination Chamber, which will be the video after that. So lots more further progressed storylines there as we move towards Elimination Chamber in a couple of days' time. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and thank you very much for watching.